Hi, everybody. I got Mark here. It's Mark and Mark.
Hi,
Back,
chaps.
back for more action here on the um, Austerlitz front with the variant where I'm attacking as the Allies, the coalition, trying to defeat Napoleon quickly before 1 o'clock, as I recall. This is the screenshot showing the situation, and what you'll see is when I get back into this here, I'll be talking about. There's a lot of action over here that we'll be talking about. Um, then after that, subsequently, there'll be some action here. Then there'll be some action here. Okay, so we've got a lot of fun stuff. This was 1 hour of battle. I don't know how many casualties we took, but it was pretty enormous, wasn't it, Mark?
It was a proper. This is where the battle of attrition really starts to come into play. I made some quick notes because we played this some time ago now. That you gained initiative for this turn,
Yes.
which was frustrating for the French, and then there were 25 activations in this turn. 12 of them were French, and 13 of them were Allied. So there
Oh,
was
wow.
a
Yeah.
long turn again, and loads of action, loads of action.
Yeah,
But
we
it's
were
not
gonna.
it's
I
not
was
the last
think
turn of the battle. We keep going.
right. Well, I was thinking we could do one more video. Then I took a look at this turn mark and I said, "There's no way.
Yeah.
This is too much." So we'll try to squeeze this into not too long a video.
Yeah.
But you can see the scope of the battle. This is what we love about this system, Hexasim. Um, we've got another one at Waterloo. We're playing right now. I don't know if we'll do a video on that, but um, yeah, uh, we'll talk more about those things later. But let's get into our discussion here first. So I need to turn that on. All right. So I knew that I had some order problems and I had to do a change of plan card. So right away at the beginning of this very long turn, which I didn't know was going to be long, I played my one card for the turn. All right. So later on we have a long discussion about these cards, but this is one that lets me change some orders, but I still have to activate. And so I think what I did is I changed the. I don't think I even changed the guard. The guard was fine because I think the guards were targeting this crossroads, weren't they, Mark? Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, so I think it was. I can't remember. I could probably have done a better job. I think it was me ordering these guys this way was one
Yeah.
of the
You're right.
orders.
It was. Although it was hidden, that information was hidden to me at that point anyway. So when you change the orders, I don't get to see what you changed them to. But it must have been
Right.
important to you at the time.
It was definitely important because I knew that your guys were going to be assaulting that hill, and these guys were really just kind of sitting around, really kind of doing nothing because your cavalry was way over here by that time. Okay.
Yeah.
So I assaulted up here. I was really pressing towards this hex. I was trying to take this guy out. I remember shooting and shooting and nothing happening. I couldn't. Devout was like this, right, Mark? I mean, I
They're
think
tough
you.
to shift. Yeah, Davu's garrison there was tough to shift because they were high quality troops anyway. And then with Davu, with his leadership factor of an extra 2 in there, it puts them on a par with like being Imperial Guard almost. So very difficult to shift on, from the point of view of a morale check anyway. You can still inflict losses, but no, you weren't allowed to inflict losses. The dice gods had denied you
My dice
any
karma, right?
any opportunity to do that. But instead, it gave you the focus. The guards just thought, "Oh, sod it, we're gonna leave. We're gonna isolate that village, and we're gonna go straight around it and go for the crossroads, which is where that 177 Cossacks unit is.
Oh, right. Yeah, he came around
That's the
over
victory
here
location.
and
Mhm.
he took that on sort of an end around. I don't remember how. I think it happened at 11 o'clock, but couldn't get this guy to go. Over here, I had some huge batteries. There's some 15 strength batteries, and combine those with a couple other batteries, you get a -2 to the die roll. That still wasn't doing it to
Yeah.
get him out of there. It was very frustrating.
But you have surrounded some French cavalry there, where the leader
Oh,
wounded counter is, and that's Murat's staff and I think 3 regiments of Murat's heavy cuirassiers
Oh, that's
that you've
right.
surrounded because the Cossacks were so mobile. You've been able to do an end run around them, like you said, and they're now actually stuck. The Zogt,
Yeah, I can't
which
remember. Did I go around like this and then back down like this or something? Um,
I can't remember now,
I don't
but they
remember
did.
how I got around there, but there was a hole that I could exploit.
Yeah, yeah.
Not that that's a very well held crossroads with a flipped
100
Cossack
Cossack,
unit.
100 Cossack. Well, you think
Woo, woo, yeah,
you think you'd be right, but it. I know what's going. I know what happens next, so
yeah, yeah.
I'll remain quiet.
So anyway, pressure on the French. A lot of the times, I always felt like the coalition is I got to keep the French on their toes because otherwise they get to take the initiative over. So yeah, because he gets a -2 on the initiative roll, it was very fortunate that I got the initiative here. So. So that's what happened on this particular slide. So let's go to the
The
next one.
opening activation of the game. Yeah.
Now, Mark
Now this.
chose this slide for commentary. Let's take a look here.
Yeah, if we can zoom in on that action just to the
Right.
left of it.
Like right here?
What happened here was Murat is surrounded and with 3 of his regiments, and his other regiments were not able to get into the to make a significant contribution there. The way that they're positioned. So what I did was I activated Davout, the ones with the red strip, and
These here.
luckily he had some cavalry reinforcements that had just arrived. So they raced forward along with one other regiment, and they attacked the Cossacks to clear them from that crossroads.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Uh, they did a prepped charge, and I made some notes here. 1,300 elite dragoons from Davout. All right,
Okay.
attack 100 Cossacks, and I failed to move them. They didn't budge. They just scoffed the French. So 13-1,
So you must
and
have
they
rolled a
held.
12 or an 11 or something.
Yeah, I did
And
something
then
really
I
bad.
passed the morale check.
Yeah,
The TAPS
and
quality
that was
check.
that. So
Yeah.
I thought I'll shift those Cossacks easily, and then that will be Murat's cavalry will be basically rescued from being cut off, and it spectacularly failed. So that was my first activation. I wasn't very happy.
No, no, I
So,
would have really been upset about that. You think when you have these -5 melee attacks that you deserve to win, and well, most of the time you you win. But that was a crazy. Something must have gone wrong with the attack. I can't imagine
yeah.
historically what that would represent. What do you think, Mark? What happened there with the dragoons? Did they just get tangled up, or they just didn't launch
I
the
think,
assault? Or
yeah, I think narratively there could be a million reasons, but I would probably say that the dragoons just didn't get organised in time to do a concentrated attack against those Cossacks. Cossacks are very nimble, and these hexes are 250 meters across, and perhaps they just toyed with them a little. You can't catch Cossacks when they get going. But yeah, so that failed. So we can probably move on to your next
okay,
slide.
let's take a look. So now I had Kutuzov activate. He had a pretty good chance to do so, and he's able to move 2 stacks. So it looks like what I did here is move to block this and try. I guess I attacked here and drove you back. It looks like
You
uh,
eliminated
a
quite
lot
a
of
few of Marek's cuirassiers then.
yeah, yeah. That's right. But there was yeah, it was a pretty devastating blow, especially after the failed attack in the first place.
Yeah,
This is usually what happens is after you fail a really important attack, then it leaves you vulnerable to a
you suffer the
significant
consequences.
counterattack.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You took them out. They weren't all zonked, but you destroyed them with your guard cavalry. I mean, yeah, the Russian guard here in this battle, they win the award for MVP, don't they?
Yeah,
Nepal.
and they were fighting hard. I remember every time Mark took a pot shot at them with artillery or even infantry, I'd lose a step. Like here's one.
Yeah,
Here's
yeah.
another step that had been lost. There's probably some over here too, but I remember knowing how important they were and getting a little bit annoyed every time a shot was taken, because
Yeah,
there's like basically five or less is usually what's going to cause a step loss. And so
yeah.
what is
Every
that, a
time I fired it,
20% chance or something of a
yeah,
five or less? And you think, okay, every now and then, but not every time, right? So usually, I guess one the rule of thumb, Mark, I don't know if you use a rule of thumb, like for every four shots, you're hoping to get one step,
yeah,
basically.
yeah.
Something like that. But sometimes all of them work. There's quite a
Oh yeah.
dispersion on the
Uh,
bell curve on this
but
situation.
even with those high losses in their infantry, I think the cavalry did better. You still managed to drive a wedge between Murat and Davout, and actually destroyed quite a few elite cuirassier regiments with the Russian Guard cavalry. And I wasn't expecting you to be able to do this. You just went like a rapier. You just went straight past Sokolnitz village, straight into the crossroads, and then sat on it and held it. And I was like, for fuck's sake, can't shift these guys.
I was as astonished at my success as Mark was too. I mean, the things that you can do in this game, you just don't really anticipate how things can work out. You got a pretty good idea, but then stuff falls off the rails. So yeah, I don't have much more to say. Anything else you
No,
want
no, we
to?
can go on to the next one, I think.
Okay. So then this brings up another one that I brought up here. Now I was really worried about the hill. The real problem for the Allies here is they've got a lot of flags they need to hold from the French. They need to take flags and then hold them. So the French don't get back to I think 9, right, Mark? Is that it?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So there's a flag there. There's a flag over here off the map. There's two flags on the hill, and there's one in this town over here. So he's really close to all of them. And I had to make some decisions, sometimes hoping where he had orders to go, and
Yeah.
hoping, well, I think what I was hoping, and I think it was a false hope, is that his orders for these guys were that way, not this way. But of course, which way
Yeah,
were they, Mark? Right, that
yeah.
way. So that allowed him to move and attack on a broad front with Lands. And Lands had been sitting around patiently having cups of tea. I don't know what kind of person Lands was, or if he hit the booze early. I don't. Doesn't matter. He was sitting with some pretty strong. They're not or extraordinarily strong, but they're French strong. So they have morale here. You can see a morale of 8 here. This guy's a 9. He's a light unit. So there's some tough hombres in here um, that I was really worried about.
Yeah.
Like as I mentioned earlier, right? If the French get their chance, which of course they're going to, um,
Well,
that's when they.
I think what had happened here, Mark, was that Langeron, the light green stripe forces, the Russians, they were slowly, gently moving over to the left to reinforce the village, which is just off screen, where the yellow
Yeah,
stripe
that's
unit
right.
is.
They were headed
And
over here
yeah,
because
you
this
weren't
was
moving at a massively fast rate, but you were generally shuffling. We called it the Langeron shuffle, where you
like.
kept moving.
Well, what's missing from this is you can see this cavalry unit here. I was trying to move my cavalry up the hill,
That's
and the
right.
cavalry was blocking, but you can't use cavalry really to defend ground very easily, and I needed the cavalry up on the hill to countercharge. Hopefully, we'll get into that later when Mark started his assault on the Pratzen Heights. So I needed something to cover that area as well because one of the problems I think I had was this is one of my best formations, but Mark was chewing it to pieces, weren't you, Mark? What is this? This is the right wing units, those red ones.
Yeah, the right wing, the red stripes.
He was, I think we talked about this last video. He was really starting to cut them to pieces. This is what was left of them. It was the cavalry portion. Also, there wasn't a lot of infantry in there, so they couldn't hold either. So I had to move these guys over. I didn't really have a reserve at this point, did I?
No,
I don't think
no,
either of
definitely.
us really did we? I mean,
No,
we
we'd committed everything at this
yeah, because
point.
there's only one more hour, right? So
Yeah,
it was exciting. And then what happened? Mark, take it away, Mark. You're talking about the
Well, this
Pratzenberg up here.
this is just to the left of where we were looking on the previous screenshot. And what's happening there is there's been a couple of activations here. I've turned them off just so you can read the names of the commanders. But Bessier with the blue stripe,
All
that's
right,
the
Bezier.
Imperial. That's the Imperial Guard. He'd activated twice, and Sult next to him had activated twice, and they were pushing. And what had happened is that they'd managed to push halfway up the hill. They're starting to head up the heights towards the Black Flag. That's two formations, which is both of which are quite powerful. But also something key happened here. One of a couple of Sult's regiments managed to get into Pratza, the village.
Oh, right.
The fourth line, and
yeah, they're sitting here.
yeah, they hadn't taken the VP area yet, which ironically is next door under the Russians, but they were in the village, which means they're harder to shift. They've got protection from all those Russian cavalry, and it kind of it upsets any counter-attacking plans that Mark may have had, may or may not, I don't know, of getting more reinforcements up to reinforce the top of the Pratzen Heights, because there's lots of victory locations there.
In fact,
So
Mark, you're right. This was a real thorn in my side because I needed to get the cavalry around them
yeah,
to do anything, and then they couldn't prepare their attacks most of the time. It took a couple of activations to, and I could not dislodge this. That's a pretty tough stack. We're inside a
it would take a
town and
long
everything.
time. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
So the
but
plan there was just the devil take the hindmost, Salt in Bessier, go for the hilltop, get up on top of the Pratzenberg Heights, because there's two VP areas there, and if we
yeah,
take those, we can push on further into the rear areas where there's another victory location or two, and that would have been enough for the French to win the game. I had no idea what was going to happen at this point, but that was the plan. The only things that could spoil that plan, which Mark, bless him, had a really good go at, was the 5th Cavalry Corps on top of the hill were high quality troops, and they could defend themselves quite well with charges. And
these guys here.
yeah, and
Some here as
Colerath,
well.
4th Corps coming up on the other flank, who were fresh, uncommitted, but low quality troops, but enough of them to be a concern.
Yeah, especially with the artillery. We're going to get into that in the next
Yeah,
slide. But
huge
yeah,
artillery.
by this time he saw them like moving, he realized one of my order changes was these guys
Yeah,
because they had been they moved back across the river here, and some of them were already on the other side of the river. So,
what I was
well,
worried
I
about.
had to do something to cut them off. The thing is, you can't really cut people off from their supply, can you, Mark? I mean, if you break
No, you
through and get to
cannot.
the victory point hexes,
Yeah.
it doesn't
If you,
matter whether you can trace a line of
yeah,
communication or something.
I guess my worry was if you got in behind the Imperial Guard as they're marching up the hill, then that would cause me trouble. So I'd kept one guard regiment back in a village just to the north there, and then there's like a half battery of guns from Salt, and that's all that's in reserve. There's nothing else.
Oh, you're talking about these guys right here, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Now I can't remember this Bezier's stack. Was that cavalry or was I think
That was the Imperial Guard infantry, all
that was their
infantry.
infantry? Oh, that's
The
right. Most of
cavalry
your
was
guard
over
and
the river.
cavalry was over on this side of the.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. And I couldn't. You go and see them, but I think those had morales of 10, 11.
Oh, they were good troops, yeah.
Yeah, really hard to stop. Okay.
And I think I made a note here. It said at this point in the battle, the French need 4 VP areas for a win. I
Yeah.
needed to get 4 back, which is a lot. It's not 4 victory points; it's 4 victory areas. So you were really hammering me at this point in the battle, and the pressure was on. I had very limited time.
Yeah,
So I
because there was
couldn't
really
go.
only 1 hour left after this. If in fact,
Yeah,
probably for me, it would have been good if this turn had ended a lot
yeah,
sooner than it did.
yeah, true.
It would have. But you cannot predict this. Some of these turns last 2 or 3 activations. Others, as Mark pointed out, this one was how many? 26 total or something like that?
25, yeah.
25. Yeah. Okay. Anything else here on this one, Mark?
No, that's it for me.
All right. Yes, well, I responded to this. Oh, so I did a
Here they
massive.
come.
I did an attack, and Mark's defenses were as usual. Mark can be really a tough defender. He plans better than I do for how these attacks can go. I did a massive. Finally got the fifth corps up there to do the prepared charge, but again, it was against some pretty high uh, morale units. Actually, it wasn't super duper high, but I rolled very badly here.
Yeah, you did.
And I took a route and all sorts of stuff happened to my stacks.
I know what happened. I formed square. That unit with the
Oh
activation
yeah.
2 counter on
I
was, it
always
looks like it's a really busy, well populated hex, but I just managed to count the SPs that I could still form square, and I rolled to form square and succeeded, and you kind of bounced off and took some casualties. That's what happened there.
yeah, the forming of the square is an emergency squaring function that you can do in certain situations. As long as you have what, less than 20 strength points
Yeah.
total, and there's some other restrictions on it.
Mm,
They can't have been adjacent, I think, at the beginning of the turn or something.
yeah.
And so I was counting on him failing that square, but he did not fail it. And I still did the attack. I could have called it off. I think it was a 0 attack, melee at
Yeah, it
0.
was even. Yeah, even odds. If you rolled a 7, it would have been fine. We both would have had to do QFT checks, and with your guys being such high quality heavy cavalry, you would have passed, and I would may have failed. So you just don't know.
I remember
Um,
analyzing this a lot and arguing, telling all these case scenarios to Mark, and Mark's like reading all this stuff in his emails, like, yeah, okay, yeah. I don't know what you were thinking. Really interesting
sometimes,
analysis, Mark. But yeah, I was
sometimes you
like,
just got to roll the dice and hope for the best, haven't you?
well, in general, the way to look at this at a melee of 0, there's a 1 out of 6 chance you'll do something good against a defender.
Yeah,
1 out of 6 something bad will happen to you, and the rest of the stuff is like mutual morale checks, basically.
yeah,
They're not quality; they're quality checks. Excuse me, but sorry, I got the ASL vernacular. So anyway, I tried to push back Sult and actually made things worse. Is what happened. But what can I say? I mean, I did. Mark did the same thing, attacking my little Cossacks. That was he had
yeah.
an even
That's true.
better chance of doing
Yeah.
something and wound up getting. So this is what happens. There's a lot of moments in this game where you're like, how can this be? How can this be? All right, so that's the end of this slide for me. Mark, anything else?
No, no, it's good. Thanks.
All right. So now we've got Mark's slide here, and this is entitled the Imperial Guard Push. I guess you're talking about not on that side, is it? It's no, this side. So you're referring to these guys heading up?
What happened here was I had Napoleon in that area as well, and he was able to directly command units and,
Ah,
and try and push them further on than they would have otherwise been able to go just under the command of their corps commander, Bessier. And
right.
is this the one where, yeah, it says, I made a note here, Napoleon personally commands forces to push on the heights. The 18th line are now even closer. Can you see the 18th line there? I'm getting a little bit of breakup on the video, so I
Are
can't
you?
see it.
Oh,
Hmm.
hold on. Let me clear the thing. The 18th line,
Maybe
my
it's in a
eight,
different.
it might be
No,
underneath
no,
Bezier, or
the French 18th line. It must be in the next screenshot. Those notes are. But anyway, the salient point was that I had Napoleon close by, so that added an extra activation that I could use to keep pushing the French forces forward. They've got a good battle line now. They've still got their flank is anchored in Pratter, and then it's just a solid battle line of Salt and Imperial Guard troops that are getting ready to push onto the Pratzenberg Heights.
right, right.
That's
Okay.
it. Everything's come clear for me now. I can see it. Um,
You also
yeah,
reinforced your Sult's guys with some artillery here.
that's right. Yeah. And that's that for that screenshot, unless you had any comment. I don't think much has changed there for you.
No, not really. I was still licking my wounds from my cavalry charge. So now, finally, because the turn never ends, it never ended for me.
Yeah. Oh.
So
This is another
now
one of
Mark
mine.
is got lands in land. Do you say that lands or lands? I get that wrong
Yeah,
all the
there's no S. Land.
land. So land now finds the weak spot and takes advantage of it. Um, Heads towards Blazowitz and Star Vinohradre.
They are Vinrati, I think.
Stair
And then
Venerati. Okay. These are two, and you can see I'm in real trouble here. Um, I've got very scant forces, and he's trying to blast through them. I think, Mark, what happened here?
what happened was Langron had shifted across.
Hmm.
The heart of his infantry had shifted across to defend Pratzer. So the gap had become wider. And you'd even attacked Sult's flank.
Yeah, that
You
was
can
really
see
dumb.
some of Sult's infantry in the woods there. They've been reduced. They were a full strength unit they'd turned before. And
That was a
but it enabled
vengeance
Lang to
attack, right?
say again.
Sorry, Mark. I was just going to say that was a vengeance attack. This is for my cavalry that
Yeah.
got wiped out,
Yeah.
but it didn't do anything. It was actually there was nothing for those guys to gain by making that attack.
No, I know what you mean.
An emotional decision I made that these kinds of decisions can lose you the game. Anyway, sorry, Mark. Go ahead.
So keep it briefly. Lan goes for it. He just thinks, right, well, I need to go for Blatziewicz and I need to go for the Stavinradi on that hill there. And I've got to at this point I'm panicking. I need these 4 VP areas. And if the guard and Salt can't do it, then Lan's got to try and help as well. So it was just attack wherever I possibly could in the fastest possible manner. And what happened with the melee on the left, where there's 2 melee counters together attacking, that was a combined arms attack. One of the good advantages that the French corps have in this particular battle is that the corps are mostly, especially the larger ones, they're self-contained with all arms.
Hmm.
So Lan has artillery, infantry, and cavalry all under his direct command. So when you activate him as a leader, you've got all 3 arms, which is the heart of Napoleonic warfare, this rock, paper, scissors. So what he was able to do there was to attack those French infantry with both infantry and cavalry at the same time, which can be absolutely devastating.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, if you just attack with a cavalry corps, it's not quite the same. You need combined arms. So they were able
He
to,
had combined and he used
yeah.
combined.
So they were able to push them back. I think we routed those infantry that they were
Yeah,
up
they
against.
went headed for the hills, and now there's a breakthrough.
Yeah, and the small half section horse battery in front of Blatziewicz, who were to be fair, they were deliberately put there to slow me down. We did manage to get them, and it created a gap.
Yeah,
It
and
created
that
a
was a
gap.
real problem at that point. Okay, now I'm like, when's this turn going to end? Because I still have a chance if I can have a really short 1 o'clock turn as well. But this was only the 8th activation, so no, it
Yep.
didn't end. It did not end. Okay, anything else, Mark, here?
That's it for me. On to the next.
Yeah, I was kind of curious. As I recall, these guys sat here and sat here. I don't know if they ever really
I
got
never,
act.
yeah, I wanted to use them because they're high quality Grenadier division, but
Yeah, 9 morale.
yeah, we did have forces just looking at each other, spitting blood, and not doing anything. Sometimes that happens. You don't mean it to happen, but the opportunity doesn't present itself. Sometimes they fail an activation roll, and you move on and do someone else instead, and just can be at random at times.
Yes, but the thing is, these did scare me because they have a movement of 4. They were going right towards Blazowitz here.
Yeah, I
Okay,
guess it pinged some of Langeron's forces there. That's
yeah,
what.
I was ready for them, but I wasn't ready for Lan. That's for sure. I just didn't have enough guys. And this corps is not the best corps. This is the second corps. All my best infantry was way over here,
Yeah.
and I just had cooks, sweepers, whatever, horseshoe people. I don't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on. So I'm like,
Oh,
okay, I have got to do something here. So finally, this had been I shouldn't say that. Let's just say it
this
had been a visual standoff between this. Yeah, Mark, go ahead. What did you want to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say, just for the viewers' benefit, this is way away from all the other action we've been talking about, and it's the north, the northern part of the northern flank, if you like, which nothing had happened at all. People had moved, but there had been no attacks until now.
We never seem to
Uh,
get into a fight up here every time we play this,
no, we
but
didn't.
there is a victory hex right here, and there's another one off map just on the other
Yeah,
side of this valley. Uh, so there are some points to be picking up, and Mark really couldn't afford to lose this.
no,
Uh, he had some of Land's forces down here guarding one half of it, but they were going the other way, so they really couldn't move the right direction.
no, they couldn't reinforce Bernadotte, and you were hoping Bernadotte was going to change sides. I think at this point.
Yeah, that would have been good. But he did have this massive battery here. But I
Yeah,
had my own massive batteries. So this was an artillery duel that actually not much really happened initially on that. But anyway, so I was trying to scare him, make him look this way instead of the other way.
yeah,
And so this was my activation number 9. Now we're starting to get near the end here. Of course, we don't know this yet. We don't know this yet. Okay. Any comments on this, Mark? Other
no,
comments?
I was nervous. I was nervous because if you broke through, I had nothing behind that line. I just had one line of troops with nothing sat behind it. And I had no orders for units to reinforce the area. So it would have been a major. If you'd have taken the Santon, it would have meant I had 5 VPs now to take instead of 4. And I must admit, I was getting nervous.
Yeah, because it's sticking out like a sore thumb. Now it's got a lot of ridges around it, you can see. That makes it really hard to assault. But I had the artillery to blast them off the hill, really. Let's go
Yeah, which
on.
you did. You nearly did. You
I
nearly
know.
did.
I nearly did, but I didn't. Okay. So now I was just pointing out, we've already talked about Colrath. Colrath was
Oh,
moving
he come in.
over, um, trying to get my massive artillery towards us. Look, they're ready to blast. Look at that. Oh, this blast, this attack that you see, this
Yeah.
never happened. It just didn't happen.
Hmm. This is
Eventually
where the
he moved away from that, and I was like very disappointed. But you can see how slow these guys are. It's like if they're gonna crawl up this Pratzenberg,
yeah,
you see
one
how hard
excellent.
that's gonna be. It's like boop, boop. That's rough terrain and slopes. So for them to get up there before he's gonna get up there this way with his faster guard and stuff.
Well, the 18th line are adjacent to the Pratzenberg Heights. This
Oh
is my,
yeah.
my previous notes where I'd screwed up and got it wrong. Yeah, they'd
Oh
managed to get through to there. Just one regiment running like hell to try and get up onto the heights, and there's one French unit blocking them now on top of the heights.
yeah, and it
One,
wasn't a very strong one, I don't think. I can't remember. But it was enough to stop him from getting to the victory points at the
yeah,
moment. But you can see right here, these guards. Okay, they're with marching distance away from this one.
yeah.
There's nothing in the way. Now, a lot of stuff is activated twice. Whoops, wrong thing. So this one was probably the guard. This was probably Soult. And I don't know, is this Napoleon here?
Yeah, that was Napoleon. Yeah,
But Napoleon had already done his one shot of personal control, so he was done with
yeah,
all of the attacks he could do.
that's right.
Um, but I was also done over here getting closer to him. You see,
That's right.
I still had a cavalry activation, but you can see I got a routed cavalry here. These cavalry, these guys are adjacent to, so they're going to be fatigued. So couldn't prep. So this was pretty much ready for Mark to take the Pratzenberg Heights at this point. Would you say that was true?
Yeah, pretty
Um,
much. I was excited for the next turn.
and yeah, and not only that, but what you can't see is there's another cathedral or something. What's over here? A church? That's
Oh,
another
St.
flag.
Anton. Yeah,
Yeah.
St. Anton Village, and it has another black flag in it. Yeah, to take. So
So all these I'm ahead by 4. Have you taken anything yet? But you're
no,
ready to take 4. Uh, I can't say that we didn't have a good time with this nail biting
I
game.
know. Yeah,
Yeah, it was really exciting. Okay, so this is activation 10 for the allies here. Now we can move into this one. Okay, this is Mark's 12th activation of his grand charge to down over here, right, Mark? Um,
Yeah, I played a tactical card here called Grand Charge, which allows you to charge with 4 stacks of cavalry.
oh yeah, that's
As
right
as
here.
long as they're all within 5 hexes of each other at the start, they can all charge. So up to 4 stacks from all different formations. So what I did was I tried to get Murat's cavalry, Sult's cavalry, and Imperial Guard cavalry. They all charged in different directions, but they were in a localized region. You can't do it across the whole battlefield. It has to be within a five
E-
hex distance.
Every stack has to be 5 away from every other
And
stack.
it accomplished something. What it did was that where the leader wounded counter is with all those regiments of cavalry, before they charged, there was some Russian infantry in there, and they managed to take them out.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
that's right. They were X'd out of existence. Uh,
and my thought process there was if I was successful in destroying that Russian infantry, then next turn I might be able to surround the Russian guard cavalry at the crossroads. And if you surround a unit, it gives you extra bonuses when you attack them. So that's what I was hoping to do. Couldn't do it yet, of course. I didn't have enough activations left. But also the Imperial Guard cavalry did something which I can't really finish commenting on yet. But they charged
well, they
against, yeah, that's where they finished their charge. They actually they they
they
moved. They, what would you call,
is that are you talking about
display?
the pursuit? They pursued?
They displaced Russian infantry into the orchards and woods to the southeast of them. But then was stuck next to all those Russian forces because there was no point in them pursuing. You don't have to pursue if the further pursuit is into non-cleared terrain.
Yeah, it turned out
So
he didn't pursue. He couldn't pursue into the castle. That's illegal for
no,
cavalry to attack. So we had actually had quite a long discussion about that part.
we did, yeah, we did. So the Imperial Guard cavalry have cleared some Russians away, but didn't defeat them in battle. The Russians managed to get back into the woods. It was a big drat moment for me.
Yeah,
Drat.
and
But
over here, Kutuzov is sitting on a 10 morale guard cavalry in the
yeah,
crossroads. And you can see my brave, look, they're still at it. The
yeah, the Cossacks are still there.
Cossacks just never gave up. Um, you'll also see, let's see if I can zoom back out here. So here's, yep, there's Devu still sitting in that town.
Yeah.
And you can see some of the huge batteries I had shooting at him. Not all right. So this is the situation here. Um, I should point out at this point, in all fairness to Mark, and we had a long discussion about the strength of some of these cards. He had played a what was it, an emergency third activation card with Lan, and we skipped over this because we reset the game. But you had that card before you played the Grand Charge. You played
Oh, the
the
last poet.
the last push card with Lan, and I said, okay, well, that's going to end the game, and it would have because he would have broken through. He had a third activation with Lan, and there was nothing to stop him from taking 2 or 3, well, at least 2 victory points. Um, so we agreed that that push card, well, he agreed with me out of the interest of fair play. I also said it would be more interesting for our viewers if we continued this. So he took the card back, didn't activate Lan a third time, and instead flipped on me this Grand Charge card. And we also talked about whether this should have at least a commander having to activate, and he was able to do that. But
Yeah, we
we've
created some house rules around some of the cards that have a overly dramatic effect on play, and this is personal preference. You know, we don't recommend our house rules to other players. This is just how Mark and I like to play these games, and I think when you're using card play to supplement your decision making, there's a skill in that. But if the card is an ultra powerful card that can tip the balance of the game, we decided that we would put the brakes on those and make them less powerful than they actually are. Um,
That's pretty
so
much it. Yeah. We some of these cards, well, they are automatic activation cards, which my objection was, look, we're playing this whole game where you have to roll activations for every officer. All of a sudden, you whip out a card from the gods above that has perfect activation. Everything goes perfectly. You don't even have to roll a die. And I was like, why? Why shouldn't at least there should be some kind of activation of a leader, and then you can play the card? We talked about this a lot. So that's kind of how we're playing in the future, right, Mark? Basically, we
yeah, and we're happy with that. It just takes away some. It puts more decision making back in the hands of the player and less. What's the word I'm looking for? Help me out.
less deterministic, maybe, or less.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Just makes it more decision making. So there isn't auto decisions that you can get the cards to make for you. You've got to still be able to take decisions as a player. And I much prefer those kind of games. I don't like to just be along with a narrative that the game engine has decided what's going to happen.
yeah, but I mean, in all fairness, Mark, you were really a good sport about it because you had set up land to use that card. And we had seen for a long time coming the Grand Charge was going to be used, so
Yeah,
that made sense. But I totally forgot about the last push card, and that would have been devastating. So anyway, we kept on playing. Um, any more to say on this one,
no,
Mark?
that's fine.
All right. So then
Getting to the end
this
now.
this is my final activation 13.
This was an
Uh,
arse-tipping moment for the French.
yeah. So my big batteries started doing some damage. You see, they're pulled up. I think one of them had to move up. Oh, that's the wrong thing here. Let me use this circle.
Get it
I
right,
think this
Hannah.
guy shot up there and flipped this guy, but he passed his morale check.
Yeah,
And then this guy, I think, shot over here. I don't know if he got anything. Anyway, I was blasting away, and I was able to try to take out this. I had a 5-1 on it, plus the minus. So this was a -7 melee. I can't remember. You had a defensive fire here. Maybe you pushed these guys back.
yeah. I think
I
that's
think you
what
pushed
happened.
these guys back, so I only had this one guy. So I think it turned out, and instead of it being a -5, it was a -3, and it turned into a stalemate. I think you got another morale check
Yeah,
result,
there's so the,
which you passed with a 6.
yeah. Then I was very lucky. The narrative there is like three guns probably because that's like half battery there that's left. Three guns managed to hold up
Hold
1,000 French.
right. Well, with 27 Leger, let's face it. But if I had just pushed him back, even I would have
Yeah.
taken that. Well, is that where the flag is? I'm not sure.
No, it's not. The flag's
No, the
next to.
flag, but I would have had a chance at least at the
Yeah,
flag. The flag is over here. I would have made him even more worried than he was, but after that guy survived, now the turn ended at this point, I believe, Mark. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Any other comments on this last slide, Mark?
no, that's it for me.
Okay, so that's what we did. So, oops, sorry about that, guys.
And
All
that
right,
was
so
that was the end of the midday turn. There's only one left now, 1 p.m. turn, and then it was game over. But we won't spoil that for you.
okay, so let me get us big. Now I have to try to get as tall as Mark. Just, I know.
You're just
I
a smart.
noticed that this self-adjusts. If you try to get too close to it, it'll zoom its own on its own.
I
Look,
just want to
did
put
you see
my hands on.
that?
Yeah, I did. I'm just going to put my hands on the wall.
Yep.
Did
So thank you for
it.
watching us.
Kilroy.
So I'm trying to use Teams here. I hope you guys can comment. Those of you who watch this all the way through, thank you very much. Please like and subscribe. And if you didn't like it, watch it all the way here, then thank you again.
Yeah,
So we really have had fun doing these videos. At least I hope Mark has as well. Don't want
yeah,
to
sure.
speak too easily for what Mark thinks here, but we got one more, the finale. So let me get this posted up.
Hopefully you can stick
Thanks for
around for that.
watching.
Cheers, everyone. See you next time.
See you next time. All right. Cheers. Bye.